Now, if we have selected in settings in the inventory section to use the parts department, what we're basically doing is we're telling the system that we want all of the parts to come through the parts department to service. In other words, a mechanic is not going to go into the service department and start pulling parts off the shelf themselves. Everything has to come through a central person and then be delivered to that mechanic when it comes time to do that. Whenever you're using those processes, when you add a new part to an invoice that happens to be a stock item, you're going to get a new button up here in the header that actually says request items. You can click that button anytime it shows up. It'll basically request any and all parts on the service ticket that have not already been requested. So as an example, if I add 5 parts at the same time and then click the button once, it will then pull or request all 5 items at the same time. So it's not really important when you click it, but it is important that you click it. So if you ever see a service ticket that has a request items link on there and you know that you're using the parts department, then you need to click that button. Otherwise, the parts department is never going to be notified that they need to get those parts. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that just because you're using that process, there's nothing stopping you from getting a spark plug that you might have in the service department and going ahead and clicking the green button down here to tell it that you actually have that item and you're giving it to the mechanic right now. So you can bypass the request items button simply by selecting the green button to tell it you have the items. But the request items button is a very important part of the service ticket process if you're using the parts department to pull your items.